The Prophet of Thought series.
What's good, folks? Welcome back to another edition of TPOT right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. As always, I'm your host X, and tonight we got a real good show for y'all tonight. As y'all know, on Thursdays, hey, what's good, Lady Classic? On Thursdays, you know, we have the Ladies of Thought, the Unicorn 4, as I refer to them as. And tonight, y'all, tonight, the topic will be, what if I ruled the world? What if the unicorns ruled the world? Um,
Oh, crap.
I want to thank y'all for stopping by and, spending some time with us tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I think the unicorns are starting to file in now. Hey, what's up? What's up, Lady Katz? What's up, Lady Linda? Brother Laquan, what's good, man? What's going on? What's going on? I see Lady Ming down there. I see Lady Katz down there, I believe.
Do you guys see me?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I do. I do. Maxwell, brother Maxwell, what's good, man? Millset Rose, what's good? Brother Artisan, what's good? What's going on, man? Of TPOT. Gonna be a good show tonight, boy. Sit back, grab your popcorn for this one. All right, let me see. Lady Classic, I see down there. I see Lady Katz, Lady Ming. I guess we're just waiting for Lady Kendra to show up. Glad y'all could make it tonight. I know y'all got my correspondence, so y'all already know what this is about. I hope y'all didn't try to prepare, because the questions you probably think I'm going to ask, I probably won't ask. I'll probably ask something so far from that it won't even be funny. But
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I got contacted from Kendra. I emailed you. I guess you didn't get it because it was right before the show started.
Okay.
But something came up, so she's not going to be able to attend. She's going to try to make it, but if she does, it's going to be pretty late.
God, another week where I only have 3 legs of the table.
I know. She was so sorry. It happened last second. She's going to do her best to make it, though.
That sucks. But okay. Yeah, so this is what I want to do. Okay. I'm going to do like I always do. I'm going to, fire around the questions at you unicorns. And what's up, Char Will? I'm gonna fire around the questions at the unicorns, and you know, sit back and listen to the answers. But tonight we're gonna do something a little different. Tonight, I want y'all to not only speak on what Black society would be like if y'all ruled it. I also want y'all to explain to me, maybe we'll do this at the end. I want y'all to explain to me what y'all think Black society would be like if a Black man ruled it. But we'll get to that later on at the end. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, let's get started with the title. Let's just start right there. If someone made either one of you ladies queen, president, ruler, mayor of Black folks, of Black society, what would be the first thing you would do once you took office, once you took the throne, once you moved into the castle? What would be the first thing you would do?
May I start?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I think what I would do is require everybody to get some sort of military training, not necessarily like, or like just some sort of training, because I feel like Black people in America lack a lot of discipline with the way they behave, um, just with a lot of things like with their money and stuff. So I think some sort of training would have to be implemented just to get us more disciplined.
Okay. Next up.
Well, the first thing I would do is paint the White House black because ain't no future in my front. But after that, I would probably have everybody tear up all of their money and cut up all their credit cards because it's not good in my society. So we first thing everybody do, just go ahead and burn all your money, all your cash, melt all your coins because it has no bearings in my society. That would probably be the first thing I did.
Okay.
Hmm.
Lady Classic.
All right. For me, the very first thing I would do is free and mandatory psychological assessment.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, each person, I think overall, our community is dysfunctional. And I don't think that we can paint the dysfunction all with one brush. So my thing would be to evaluate everybody and to figure out which categories of dysfunction they fit in, so that way we can best take those, say, 3, 4, 5 categories, the major categories, and then attack each one individually in separate ways.
Okay. Giving you ladies answers, right? What you ladies just said. Now imagine if the three things that you said, okay, you said mental evaluation. Lady Ming said get rid of money, credit cards, financial stuff. And Lady Cat said give everybody some type of military training, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you come in, Simply Deep, what's good? When you come in, say you were given the power of all of that. Say all of that was done for one of you. One of you ladies, all that's done. Military training, mental health evaluation, money all gone. Now, after all that's done, what's the next thing you would do after that? Or better yet, I'll rephrase that. What if you were given a Black society where all of those things that you ladies said were done already? What if they were already done? They said, here's Black society. People have been mentally evaluated, all the money is gone, and people been trained militarily. What do you do?
I think the next thing for me would be getting people then trained in survival skills, hunting, gathering, building, tilling of the land, swimming and things like that, because of what I would want to try to create, which is a way where everybody is a little bit more self-sufficient and they have something to put into the pot when they're taking something out of the pot that helps actually rebuild our society as a whole, taking the I out of the whole thing and, putting the E back in team, making more of about a team. So that would probably be the next step I would do, is get everybody on the same page, or at least helping people figure out, almost like divergent style. Like you figure out where you want to be, what it is you want to do, what you think you're already good at, and then how do we better train you in that way so that we're all giving and taking, as equally as we possibly humanly can. So that would probably be my next step.
Okay.
My next step would probably be along the lines of Ruby's, because, well, since military training would basically cover everything from what Ming was just saying. I guess the next step would be to mentally evaluate everybody, simply because there is a lot of um, undiagnosed mental illness that goes on in the Black community. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So what I would do at that point, like I said, I think we might come up with about 5 different categories of dysfunction. And so it would be at that point implementing 5 different solutions for those individual groups. So, for example, the ones who have either undiagnosed or untreated psychiatric disorders, conditions, even things just like post-traumatic stress disorder and whatever, they would be mandated to that type of treatment prior to being able to engage in society in any meaningful way. I'm not saying I would literally like lock them in a room, but they would not be participating in the rest of society, because when you're not well, you can't be a positive member of society. So they would be mandated to get on whatever types of therapy to start to heal. The ones that are just acting out and they're unruly and whatever, I think I would go along the lines of cats, where that military type of schooling and training to get some discipline and respect, and to get that kind of thing where that it's okay for you to give people's respect. It doesn't make you weak or whatever. Perhaps the ones that are just addicted to basically spending, or maybe drugs, alcohol, which would go into the treatment category. But those people who are it's just about, I want to be like movies and TV or whatever it is. I would have some type of hard work regimen for them, not necessarily military, but just more about starting from the ground up, being, you're going to be our garbage men and our whatever, because you feel the need to live, a lavish life on, a mac and cheese income, and that's not going to be functional. So I would kind of implement things like that at the beginning. Let's kind of break people down and start building them back up.
Okay. How are we going to get what, now that you're in charge and you run, we'll call it Blackville. You run Blackville. And inside of Blackville, there's going to be crime and killing and robbing and all this kind of nonsense. It's just the reality of Blackville. So now that you are in charge of Blackville, what do you do about crime and criminal justice, policing? What do you do about those things? Because you're in charge. You decide. Whoever wants to go first, Ken.
Okay, well,
Go ahead, Ruby.
okay. Well, I think to begin with, the ones that are committing crimes based on, psychiatric issues and other issues will already be in the kind of the treatment part of things. So the ones who are ultimately, it's just, they want to be bad, or, they're just hardened criminals and they don't care, they don't want to change, they would kind of get that life sentence thing. And that, I think, will be, though, an incredibly small proportion of the society who really and truly, they are just bad. They're bad people. They want to be bad. They want to be destructive. And it's not from something deeper, some inner struggle, because I think a lot of our criminality has to do with either psychiatric disorders and addictions and stuff like that, and whatever, poverty, literally. So I think we would find a small minority that are just bad people. Those people are they get to live in, some type of prison or whatever. The rest of them, what I would be doing is sending them to the treatment group, because at the end of the day, just incarcerating people with hardened criminals who don't care is not going to solve our problems. Trying to get to the underlying problems of why are you doing what you're doing? If it's about assault, you have an anger management issue maybe, or maybe you have an inferiority complex issue or whatever. So you would be sent to the treatment group, and again, not allowed to leave until, you've worked through your issues, you got to the other side.
I would reinstate the Black Panthers or a Black Panther type of party to police our community as well as police those outside of our community. And then those who were sentenced, I would reinstitute chain gangs and things of that nature, like sentence people to hard labor so that they can start helping us rebuild our community back together. So in the short, that's essentially where I would go with it. I'm definitely more Malcolm than Martin in my approach to things like that. So I would definitely go that route. And then I would call Ruby in to then talk to those people before we put them back in society after they got off the chain gang. Did y'all hear me? Or am I muted the whole way?
We heard you.
I'm all discombobulated over here.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Well, that was the short answer. I'm not really wordy, so
I'm
that would
sorry, y'all.
probably.
Oh,
I have
okay.
my connection for a second or something. I don't know what happened, but I can still hear you though. A monitor for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
and the short of it for me, because it will really be that simple. I would want us to start policing ourselves again the way we did back then. And then once we got into the prison system, instead of spending idle time, I would want to use that labor to help rebuild our communities back up, hard labor. So that's pretty much where I would go with it.
Okay.
I too believe in policing our own neighborhoods. As for punishments, I'm kind of going back and forth between maybe hard labor or just excommunicating them altogether. Kind of like if I could put a fence around, what did you call it, Blackville? And
Blackville.
yeah, and they can't come back in.
Well, let me ask you ladies this. I come to you. I'm a rich Black person that happens to live in Blackville, and because we're talking about crime and punishment stuff right now, right? I come to you, president, queen, mayor, ruler, whoever you are, and I say, hey, I own a place called Nigger Island, and Nigger Island, Nigger Island is for niggers. Do you allow me to bring in? Do you allow me to bring in my team to start rounding up the niggers in Blackville?
Can you pose that question again?
yeah.
Okay. You run Blackville. You're the queen, you're the president, you're the boss of Blackville, you're the ruler of Blackville. And I come to you. I'm a rich billionaire and I own an island, okay? And that island is called Nigger Island. And I say, I'll come in here, I'll bring my team, I'll get rid of all the niggas, and I'll take them, ship them off to Nigger Island and you can wash your hands of them forever. Do you let me come in with my team and start rounding up niggas and taking them to Nigger Island?
No, not me personally. It really doesn't fit what I'm trying to accomplish as the end game. No, I wouldn't.
Okay, you would let me take them to Nigger Island, huh? How
No.
about you? How about you, Lady Cats?
I might let you take them if I go with my excommunication idea.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't want you to go overboard and just start saying, okay, like if it's just a regular black person who's minding his own business, I don't want you to be like, oh well, we'll call him a nigger too, just for the hell of it. That's the only thing I don't want happening.
Okay. Lady Classic.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as the criminals that we have locked up in the prison, I would certainly let you take those because, again, as I said, the ones that are locked up in that prison are lost causes, and it would take a lot for you to be judged a lost cause. So you could take them, and realistically, that would be great for us financially because we wouldn't have the financial burden of feeding them and housing them. As far as the rest of my society, uh, in the paradigm here, it takes time to change. It takes time to learn and grow. So what I would say is that, I mean, if we're talking, a decade or two down the line, and you still got some who are just, this undercover ratchet, and that's just where they want to live, but they're not technically committing crimes. I don't know. I mean, maybe, yeah, because at the end of the day, I don't want them infecting younger, more impressionable generations, and I don't want them throwing a wrench in everything else that's going on. So if they want to be, ratchet or hoodlums, Pookie Ray Rays, whatever, then they might as well go live on an island with their kind. But I wouldn't do that right away. Again, I would take time to teach them and grow them and whatever. Like this would be, like I said, decade or two down the line.
Okay. Well, what role would you let men play in your kingdom? Would men be part of how Blackville is run? Would men's rights be in danger? I mean, where would men fit in Blackville if you controlled it? Where would the men fit in?
Well, of course, men would be considered because you can't have a community without the men. I mean, it would be ideal for the men to lead, but if I'm the queen of Blackville and I'm ruling it, then I'll just have to heavily consider their ideas. I mean, what they're going through. And of course, their rights would not be in danger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, like the concept of equity or parity, whereas in you're not just given roles just because of your gender, because I just assume your gender is better is really important to me. So at the end of the day, when assigning, say, roles in government or, other types of leadership roles that actually involved me assigning roles or whatever hiring, it wouldn't be based on gender. It would be based on the best person suited for the job with the best qualifications. So like in my government, I would want like-minded people, and when I say like-minded, I don't mean people who are willing to yes ma'am me and just follow my every little word. I definitely would want people who are talking and challenging and thinking, so that way we can continue to grow and get better. So whether that's male or female, it's entirely irrelevant to me. Again, the best people who are qualified for that particular job.
I agree with Ruby as it pertains to what their role would be in the government aspect of my society. But as it pertains to the functionality of the day to day living in the society, I would want the men to be the backbone and resume their rightful place in the home or in this world as it should be. Um, I am not a feminist chick, not by any stretch of the imagination. And I would want men to be who they were birthed to be. I would want them to be the leaders. I would want them not necessarily to have to be the hunter and gatherers and things like that all the time, because I think that women have a lot of prowess that could be used and be very handy and helpful. However, that strength that only a man can have, I would definitely want our society to respect it. You know, I don't want to use words like defer to it or anything like that, but for most, I definitely respect it, because as we already see, when you take the man out of the society, what it becomes, and I don't want anything, no semblance of what we're living in now, which
Hmm.
is what I think would be if we didn't restore our black men to their rightful position.
Good answer. Good answers,
Hmm.
Unicorn. Good answers. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this, because if people watched the promo, I only put it up like a couple hours before the show. It's really busy today, y'all. Um, if people watch the promo, I mentioned something, and I said that for the most part, Black society is somewhat of a matriarchy, being that mostly women set the tone. Mostly women are in charge of the quote unquote culture, because mostly women raise the children. I mean, there's no disputing that. So, in a sense, Black society is a matriarchy, but Black women do not run Black society. They have a heavy influence on Black society, and a lot of things are centered around Black women in Black society, but they do not run Black society. So the reason why I asked you ladies that is because what I wanted to do is I wanted to set the table for, if women really ran it, like I asked you ladies tonight, what would happen if you ran it? Now I'm listening to you ladies' answers. And what I'm also doing is I'm writing down how it would be if the non-unicorns were running it, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. Because the answers that
Hmm.
I get from you ladies, I wouldn't get from other women. I know that. And anybody that follows this program knows that. So that's why I'm asking you ladies these questions, because I want to kind of make people look at things a little different. All right. Not just by listening to y'all and hearing how different it would be, but take a deep look of how things are right now. Okay. So on to the next round of questioning. Um, let's stick with some women. We're gonna talk some women stuff now. Um, you know, in Black society, we have an epidemic of baby mamaism, okay, especially in our inner cities. And you've been handed Blackville. Blackville's yours to rule. And you know that people are abusing the system and relying on the system and just doing everything that the system was not designed for. How do you, queen, president, ruler of Blackville, deal with these people? I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the abusers, the people who just sit on their asses and have 9 kids for no damn reason whatsoever. How do you handle these people? And I don't mean just the women. How do you handle the males? How do you handle the guys who have 40 baby mamas. How do you handle these people? Queen of Blackville.
Well, in my society, there is no welfare and food stamps and whatever government assistance programs, whatever. So if you have 9 babies, then you're going to have to take care of 9 babies and find the way to feed your babies. And because it's the same thing ultimately as the men, there isn't a system here where you can abuse it because it won't exist. And so realistically in my society, what I'm focusing on not just the family as in your individual household, but the village in and of itself. We're doing a lot of speaking in general about what in our black heritages, in Africa, and the concept of the village was very important to us, not just the family, but the actual whole village. So you need to be a productive member of the village as a whole, and the village will be back to taking note and care and responsibility for their neighbors. I don't mean paying, I mean literally like going back to old school Jamaica days where, if you got in trouble at school as a kid and the teacher would beat you. And then you'd walk home and you'd hope to God none of the adults you passed knew that you got in trouble in school because they all beat your ass too. And then you get home and your mom would beat your ass for the embarrassment that other people had to beat your ass because you were disrespectful. So, and then God forbid your dad found out because now he's going to be putting you to some hard back-breaking labor until 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't even get any sleep. You won't do it again, right? So they're ultimately at the end of the day going back to some of these old school concepts because they're in our blood, they're in our heritage that we need, that we're lacking because we're trying to live according to this Western white, society where you're just individual and it's just the home and everything's about money, and we're not bred to be like that. So we would be returning to that concept to begin with. So I'm not sure what system they would be abusing or what they would be doing after they had the first kid and they realized there isn't any free handouts. I really doubt that they'd be having the next 8.
I 100% agree with Classic Ruby all the way. Everything she said, I couldn't say it better. So I'm just going to add to that. Outside of that, the way I look at it, you can only produce what you can sustain. If you can't sustain these children, you're not going to be able to produce them. Now, I know this may seem a little I don't know, controlling perhaps, but what if we were in a society where, how when you modify your mortgage on your home, how you have to send them your full financial breakdown, everything about everything before they grant you that remodification on that home? It's the same thing with the children. What if we instituted where you had to almost apply to have more children, and as a government we took a look at what you had, what your resources were, what you were bringing in versus what's going out, to see if you are even a viable candidate to produce another life and be able to take care of it, because again, there's no welfare system to do it for you. Furthermore, right now it's the women 100% run whether or not a life is brought into this world. However, a man is half of that process as well, and I want to give him his rights back. So we have women who are able to have these children, and men do not want these children, and I don't think they should have to be responsible for children they do not want. They both have sat down and made the baby together, both being irresponsible. So why is one person more irresponsible than the next? Also, flip side that, if you as a woman want to terminate your pregnancy, for instance, there are cases where men are steadfast against that. They don't want you to have an abortion, but because you run things, you get to terminate their pregnancy with or without his consent. But what if we were to implement something where a man can stand up and say, no, I want my child and I'll take 100% responsibility for that child, and while you're baking the baby, I'll assist with those or pay those bills almost like you would a surrogate, if you will. something along those lines. So, like what Ruby said, there will be no welfare system for you to leech off of in the first place. But if you wanted to have a kid, you would have to ask permission. And then, even if you wanted to terminate, it'll be both of you guys together making this decision and not just one person like it is right now, because that's not fair.
Okay.
So,
Lady Cats.
Well, I would do something along the lines of, I guess, what China does, which is implement some sort of limit on how many kids you can have. So, I guess two would be okay with me. I guess no more than that. And yes, you would have to be married, and you would have to be able to financially take care of those kids. No welfare. No.
So would you ladies let the people who, because people are going to break the rules. They're going to break the rules. Would you let those people who decided to go against the president queen of Blackville and still have those rules, still have those 8 kids by 8 dudes? Would you let those kids starve? Would you let the woman and her kids just starve?
I wouldn't say let them starve, but I say this all the time. You got to get it how you live. So if you out here living like you gonna have 8 babies, then you need to be out here getting it like you're gonna take care of 8 babies. As I mentioned earlier in our conversation, if it was implemented where you had to teach everybody a trade, like for instance, just to take it in Chicago where I'm from, we used to have like Dunbar Vocational where my mother went in the 70s, CVS, Chicago Vocational School. They taught you a trade. You had other high schools, for instance, that gave you academic skills because you were on the path to college, but then there were high schools who gave you trades so that you can get out here and become a contributing member to society financially. So with that being said, if everybody had to pick up some sort of skill one way or the other, you'll be able to barter to feed those children at the end of the day, whether you're sitting at home making booties and damn blankets, whatever is necessary for you to take care of those kids. But you won't be able to get it through a welfare system, or I'm going to just let you come on in, Brother X, and ship them off to that damn island you was talking about.
That's good.
Nigga Island. Nigga Island will be waiting.
Okay. Well, for me, and I think what it comes down to is people will know off the bat that if they can't take care of their children, so there will be free healthcare, first of all, there will also be free education. So, with that being said, with those two things, it comes down to if your children are emaciated and starving, or your children can't perform in school because A, you're not investing the time with them, or they're just too hungry to think, then you will lose custody of your children. And I don't mean temporarily while you get yourself, you'll just lose that child. So at the end of the day, there's not going to be second chances. You'll be well aware of the fact that there aren't going to be second chances, and that's that. I mean, what we continue doing is giving people. They go, "Oh my God, I made a mistake," and we go, "Okay, you made a mistake. Don't do it again." And there's no real consequence for them making horrible, irresponsible choices. If your baby, in and of itself, you have this baby, you're not investing your time and energy and effort into it, then you have another one, and then neither one of those children are eating. I don't care about the mother. She's going to starve. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to put up or shut up. She'll starve to death. I don't care because she's an adult and she's making decisions. She could work. She could, I don't know, till the soil and grow her own food. She could do whatever she needs to do to get it done, or she could not, but she won't be getting any type of help. And at the end of the day, survival instincts will kick in. She will need to feed herself. And this is part of the problem. 21st century is way too cushy and way too easy. And then you add in welfare, and at the end of the day, there's no starvation. There's no discomfort. People need discomfort to change. So when someone is starving, they have no lights on, they have no running water, and the people in your village, because at first the people in your village will help and support and try to, give you a firm boot up the ass, but okay, fine, here, shower here and go look for a job tomorrow. But eventually they're all going to start keeping their doors closed. They're all going to turn their backs when you show up to them. And at that point, you're going to be really uncomfortable. You're going to be starving. You're going to watch your kids cry. And there isn't a savior who is going to come fix it for you. So you have a choice to make. And if you really are that lazy and selfish that you are going to sit on your couch and say, I don't care, I'm just going to starve anyway, and I'll watch my babies die, then you don't need them anyway. So we'll take them from you. It's very simple.
Okay. Wow, that's rough, President Queen.
All right.
Go ahead, Lady Cats.
I'll say this. You do not want to disrespect your president queen because you and your extra child will be sent off to the what's it called? Nigger Island?
Nigger Island.
Yeah. And I mean, if the kid has to suffer too, sorry. The child will just have to look at mother like, you failed me. Sorry.
Yeah, you go to Nigger Island, it's for life. It's not like you go there and it's like prison. When you go there, it's for life. That's where you die. You go there is no return. I mean, you're just there. Whether you're 7 or 77, you go there, it's for life. Okay. Now, let me ask you ladies this. You run Blackville, right? And it's all black people, right? Everybody there's black. And one day, whether it's man or woman, they leave Blackville and come back with a white wife or a white husband. Do you allow them to remain in Blackville?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm always conflicted when we talk about interracial dating, um, because I'm a very real talk type of person. So I think it'll be fake of me. My great grandfather is white. Um, if you were to see my grandmother, you would think she was a white woman. Her and all her 13 siblings. She's from the South. She's from Arkansas, and he actually maintained two families. He had his white family. He was a doctor. He had his white family, and he had his black family, and he had a family with Mother Audrey. And he took care of his black children as well. So I can even run across cousins who are Caucasian because he also had, kids over there as well. So I've always felt conflicted about being so steadfast against interracial dating, considering I am, come from them getting together many moons ago. So I'm really conflicted about that. Um, I don't know. Maybe we have to bring them up before us, like we sitting and you have to tell us why this white woman or man was better than any of these black men or women, because that is something I've always wanted to ask. I never thought it should be asked because that's not my place to question your heart or your motives or whatever. And it's not like you're going to tell me the truth anyway. However, I want to know because I've always felt that if I were to date a white man, he would have to be the richest, the most handsomest, the down to earth white man there is, because if I'm going to slum it or be with somebody that's ugly or broke, I might as well get with a brother. So I don't quite understand that. Sometimes you can look at a couple and say, okay, I get it. But more often than not, lately, I don't really get it. So I'm a little conflicted. I wouldn't want to ostracize somebody from my society just because they did, go to the moon and back and they brought a white woman with them. However, you would have to prove some value in this relationship, and what is this relationship going to bring to our society as a whole, as opposed to you coming in and allowing this woman or man to infiltrate what we're over here trying to build and tear down, because history has shown us that's what they do. So I would definitely allow you the opportunity to make a case for yourself. And I would also reserve the judgment to kick your ass out too, based off of whether or not I felt that it was genuine or disingenuous, or whether it was valid, or whether it was something that as a society that we can feed off of, as opposed to you coming over here feeding and eating off me. So that's how it'll be.
Good answer.
I agree with Ming. I have a very similar situation in my family. Ruby, are you okay?
Huh? Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
Why?
oh, I heard you make some noise. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a similar situation where my dad's mother could pass for white. She's actually Creole, so um, her grandfather was a white man, and so I'd have to ask some questions, maybe like a series of litmus tests or something, just to see what they're really on, and then decide whether or not to let them in. But they can't run anything.
Okay. So the the white husband or the white wife would be like a second class citizen, kind of, in Blackville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Very classic.
so half of my family is literally like I have 7 cousins, well, 6 cousins plus my sister on one side of my family that are all biracial. With that being said, there are almost none of them that when I stand in front of them, when I'm at their houses, when they're at our family get togethers, that I feel like they really, it's not that they dislike me, it's just more like they're not comfortable, they're not happy. They would rather everyone in the room be white, basically. And you can see by the way that they deal with and treat and speak to their white family members and even the biracial ones versus me. So, with that being said, when someone, we're building something here, there's a mentality about wanting to fix and build and grow and better our community. If you are of the mentality that you want to leave the community for any reason and go to other places and other communities and do anything over there, then in and of itself, it already tells me that you have one foot out the door. If you then need to bring the things from out there back in here, that tells me that this community isn't for you. So it might be better for you to go and be out there with the things that you're yearning for, because I think you will always have one foot out the door, and that isn't good enough for us trying to build and strengthen and regrow our community at its base. Now, maybe hundreds of years from now, once we have strengthened, we've grown, we are solid, we are strong, we are where we're supposed to be, where we always meant to be, then we might be having a different conversation. But we aren't in a place now where we can have people who, on any level, would be content, first of all, to even leave the community at this point in our building stages, A, and B, to want to bring something back in. It's kind of like when the, not Quakers, what are they called? Amish. With the Amish, before you get baptized, they send you out into the world. Go live that life, because we want you to choose this, because this is where you belong. This is what you believe. So they get sent out. If they choose to come back, they don't get to come back and bring color TV and bring music and bring this and bring that. When they come back to the life of, basic nothingness, that you don't get any of those outside world things. They come back to that because they believe in it. So if they want to come back and then secretly hide all this stuff from the outside world, then are they really back? Do they really believe? No, of course they don't. So I kind of see this in the exact same way. Short of you already having been married to a white woman, and when we start the community already, like you just started with a white woman and 3 kids or whatever, they're going out to go get a new one, like that, and that wouldn't work. And as it is with you currently being married to a white woman, if you're in one of those dysfunctional things where you were going for a white woman or for a white man because you thought, well, white men are better, or white women are better, or, it's because our people are dysfunctional, or, because white people are better looking, or white people are blah, blah, blah. If that was your mentality, you weren't welcome in my community to start off with.
Okay. Okay. Blackville and everybody in the chat, make sure you hit that like button. Take this link, share it, put it on your Facebook page, do all that, so we can get some traffic coming through here. I mean, hit the button. It's not going to kill you. If you want to, you can hit the dislike button. I don't even care. Just hit a button, for Christ's sakes. Okay. In Blackville, right? Blackville is all black people, right? It's all black folks. So, being that it's all black folks, what type of black folks are there, and who's considered black? People my shade, mulatto people, dark-skinned people. That's the first part of the question. This is a two-part question. What type of people are considered black? What's up, brother Cerulean? What's good, man? Who are the people that are considered black? And do you allow other black people from outside Blackville to come into Blackville? Say they wanted to come in from Haiti or a country in Africa or the Dominican Republic or Cuba or wherever. Do you allow them to come into Blackville?
I'll answer first. So, as for Black people and from other parts of the country, I mean the world, as long as they follow the rules and stick to the agenda, they are welcome. And as for people who are considered Black, um, for I guess biracial people, it would depend on whether or not they consider themselves Black, because you have some that do and some that don't. The ones that don't can go somewhere else. So that's basically it.
So my initial reaction to the questions is, basically yes. If you're biracial, or as long as, one of your parents is black, I'm okay with that. Like I just stated before, I think I would be being untrue to who I am, you know, genetically or in my lineage and things like that. And I would also open up, and because I already, my husband to tell you, I always have this back to Africa plan where I would love for all of us to go back over there and claim our resources and figure out what tribes we come from and, till the land and things like that. So I'm all for that as well. Now, with that being said, don't come over here with your bullshit. Don't think you're coming over here trying to turn us into what you are about. You're going to come over here and be a part of our program, or I'm sending your ass to Niggerville on the island, because we're not dealing with that. Okay? Because we've been dealing with that.
You're gonna give them to me?
Not giving to you. No backsies, none of that. Okay, because we've been dealing with that, and that's why we are where we are right now. We've allowed people to come and rub off on us, even though we're rubbing off on them, but we don't even force them to say that what they're getting it from us. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to, if I'm going to create a society, it's going to be a powerful society, one to be reckoned with. Not, it's going to be unapologetic. So you're going to come and you're going to be a part of my program. You're going to roll with it, or you're going to roll out. And that's really it.
Okay. Lady Classic.
Well, by all means, first of all, I think that if you're Black, you identify as Black, not just when it's convenient for you. And it's not just about whether or not the group of white people you prefer to hang around with sees you as Black or token Black because, you've got a tiny tint of melanin. So I do think that your identity plays a large role. And to begin with, if your identity wasn't Black, you would have no interest in coming. If you came, though, and yes, I would absolutely accept new Black people, you would still be going through the exact same process everyone else did. So, you would have the automatic psychiatric evaluation to evaluate any of your dysfunction, what category you belong in, and whatever, and then be placed according to what dysfunction you do or don't have, and where you actually belong within the society, and you would start building from ground up like everyone else did. So you don't get to just walk in. Some people who've now built up, and they now have built themselves a beautiful home and whatever, you don't just get a home because, whatever, you came with some money or something like that. No, you got to build your way from the ground up just like everyone else did. Otherwise, you won't appreciate what you have built and what you've accumulated, just like everyone else currently appreciates it, because they literally started from nothing and built their way up.
Okay. Is Brother Valdez up in here? Is Brother Valdez in the house?
Yeah, he's in here.
Oh, snap. Brother Valdez, you want to hop on, man? I'll put the link in the chat. I'll put the link in the chat if you want to jump on, brother. This is a new thing that I'm trying. I'm putting in a a brother that I hold in high regard up in the joint. It's a new element to the program. Okay. Let me see. Now, President Queen of Blackville, I come in with my people. And now I want to rule Blackville. I'm on street corners. I'm in the town halls. I'm in the auditoriums. I'm out in the fields. I'm doing all of that stuff. And I'm convincing people. I'm like the brothers on 125th Street, where I'm spreading my message and I'm talking and I'm getting people to follow me, believe in me. I'm ready to take over Blackville, and I have half of Blackville behind me. What do you do?
I told you earlier, I'm more Malcolm than Martin, so I'm coming like that scene in Belly when they snuck in on dude when he was sitting there and they got at him. I'm coming at you the same way because this is war. I'm not gonna. I can't show any weakness, especially with you being a man and I'm a woman. It's already gonna be some perceived weakness probably in there already. So I'm coming straight forward. I'm coming direct, and it's gonna be done. I'm putting the end of that shit immediately.
Okay. Next up.
I would send my, I guess, my form of the police over to them and ask them to state their purpose and all that, because I see that as a sign of disrespect. And I would need for them to follow the proper chain of command. And if they can't do that, then it's nigger island for them.
Nigga Island. Nigga Island will be real popular under the President Queen, huh? Brother,
Yes, sir.
I see Brother Valdez down there. What's good, Brother Valdez?
What's going on, fam? What's good with everybody?
Going on,
Hey.
man.
Hello.
Hey.
It's the night of the unicorns, man. The unicorn 4 -1 tonight. I'm missing one, so I only got 3 legs of the table, but it's all good.
Yeah, I noticed. I was gonna ask, is this a recurring thing?
Yeah, I do this. I do this every Thursday because
Okay.
this is the unicorn 4. Usually, Lady Kendra is here too, but she's indisposed tonight. Last week I only had 3 too because Lady Ming wasn't here last week, so it's like
Sorry, guys. I know
Yes.
you mentioned it because I watched the playback, but just so everybody knows, because you did leave it to me to be able to speak. I had dental surgery, so I wasn't able to talk at all. It was something scheduled from February that completely slipped my mind. And those of you that know me or talk to me frequently know that I have fibromyalgia, so sometimes my short-term memory is affected and I
Mhm.
forget things. And if it wasn't for my better half reminding me of it, I would have not even known until they called to confirm that morning. So that's what it was. I had dental surgery, guys. Sorry about that.
Okay. We are not angry at you, Lady Ming. Yeah, but Brother Valdez, this is just something that I'm trying a new element to the old TPOT platform. I call them the four unicorns because, women like this are hard to find, and I have gathered four. So,
Okay.
I've gathered four unicorns. And yeah. So, I basically, like I was telling Brother Jay Sean, because Jay Sean was on last week.
Okay.
What I do is, I just throw questions at him and listen to the answers. That's pretty much it, you know. And a lot of the things that come out of these ladies' mouths really shock me and impress me. We've been doing this for about, I don't know, about 3 weeks now, ladies, something like that. And it gets some good traction, man. And I learn a lot, man, listening to these ladies, man, because they don't answer like other women. Trust me, they don't. They're not thin-skinned. Okay, they don't get over emotional. They think the things through. So
Okay.
it's a good mixture. They all have a different kind of style about them. I mean, it's a good assembled team, man. It's like the Super Friends, sort of like that. They all have a different thing about them, but they all complement each other. They're all different, but they all kind of complement each other. So it's a good mix of talent, man. I like it. I like it. I actually look forward to these Thursdays. You know what I'm saying? But
Cool. What we all talking about tonight?
um the subject is, what if I ruled black folks? And basically what I'm on are, how would life be if they ruled a place called Blackville? They're the president queen. They call all the shots. They run everything. It's an all black town. And, I'm basically, finding out how it would be if they were running it. What would
Okay.
they do? So that's where we at now. I believe we were up to Lady Classic, right?
Yeah. Could you
Yeah.
possibly repeat the question? Because I don't remember anymore.
Neither do I. No, well, actually, what I was saying was, you're the president queen of Blackville, right?
Hmm.
I come to Blackville, and now I want to rule, or not me, any dude. He wants to rule Blackville. So he's on the corners, just like the brothers on 125th Street. He's spreading his message. He's got the bullhorn. And now half of the people in Blackville have sided with him. He wants to take over Blackville. What do you do?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I find it difficult to think that half of Blackville would side with anyone other than me because they would see the happiness and productivity and just union so much better than they've ever seen before and could have possibly imagined. So I can't see that happening given my structure. But let's say it did happen. I'm positive that my armed forces slash military would be on my side. And so I think, much like Kat said, I would have them approach to have a discussion, perhaps bring him to me so we can sit down in private quarters and try to work out what's going on so that way he can understand that the disrespect and the throwing me over just because I'm a woman thing isn't going to fly. And yeah, I think, for the first time today, I'm going to say that should that not initially work, my next call would be to you for the boat to show up for them to all be shipped off, including the ones who were turncoats, to Nigger Island. And that would be the end. Yeah, that would be that.
off to Nigger Island with you.
Yep. Wash my hands of that mess. Yep. Anybody
Okay.
who's going to turncoat, they don't need to be here. So off they go.
Nigger Island.
Off to Nigger Island. So Blackville. So I'm assuming, President Queens, I'm assuming that Blackville is a prosperous place, right? Because if it's a prosperous place, no matter how prosperous it is, somewhere in Blackville, there's going to be a ghetto. There's no way to avoid it. What do you do about your ghettos, President Queen?
I think the first thing I would do is create laws that I guess you would have to keep your neighborhoods up to a certain standard. Because part of the reason why a lot of the property values are so bad is because a lot of people are fighting in the streets. They put litter around their house. They don't cut their grass and all that. So, well, for one, they'd have to follow the rules of my little city, or again, Nigger Island. And they'd have to keep the place clean. At the very least, they can keep the place clean. Just because you're poor does not mean that you can't keep your home clean. And if you can't follow those rules, well, you know.
Off to Nigger Island.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, I think based on the previously established things that we've discussed, what there would be obviously, poorer versus richer areas per se, or poorer versus richer people. But I don't believe, given the other parameters we've set up, that there would really be an equivalent to like the ghetto, like we know them today. Because we've already established that, the women who are having 9 kids who can't, first of all, there's no welfare. The women having 9 kids who can't take care of them, that's not going to happen, because we've already set things in place for that. People who default back into old behavior get sent back to psychological detention for them to work through their issues, to try to figure out why it is that they're self-sabotaging. So and again, I think a lot of things come down to, if you hand people some welfare house that they didn't have to work for, they didn't have to earn, that they think they're somehow entitled to by magic, then of course they're not going to take care of it. Because, and this is like the same thing when I have people renting out my home. The condition that each person who rented out my house left it in is reprehensible. It's not a way that they would have ever lived in it, but it doesn't belong to them. They didn't have to work for it. So even though they paid rent, it wasn't something that they had ownership of. And in my Blackville, everyone who has something worked for it. You're working literally from the ground up. You are literally, nothing is handed to you, nothing is given to you. And on top of that, you are literally having no choice but to be part of both the smaller and the larger village and community. So when you care not just about your own things because you have ownership of them, but you also care about your neighbors' things and your neighbors' kids and whatever, because it's a village, things don't fall into disrepair like that. And when someone sees you start becoming disheveled, they don't just abandon you and just say, oh, he's gone down, and start gossiping. No, because you're part of their extended family and their extended village. So it's about now reaching out to you and helping you. So in my Blackville, I really do not believe that there would be space for there to be that ghetto full of people of ill repute, because I'm all about early intervention. We are intervening long before things can turn into a shithole.
Interesting.
You know,
Next up.
These ladies have said exactly how I feel. The build that we've been doing over the last hour or so lets you know that we're not trying to build a society that would even harbor a ghetto. A couple, I told you guys from the beginning, or let's just say Classic said something that I had already written down about it taking a village. If you've been listening to what I'm saying, everything about I'm trying to say is community, 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 community. Not giving you fish, but teaching you how to fish. Not trying to build your house, but teaching you how to build your own home, how to till your own land, how to conserve energy with solar panels and wind turbines and things of that nature. So with that and with skill sets comes pride. A lot of times it's like the kid in class who acts out the most is usually the one who can't read. So
Mm-hmm.
if you teach these kids or you teach these men and women, especially if I'm not creating it from scratch and I have to just jump in right now, and you give them something to be proud of and not just give them what it is you think they need, the likelihood of a ghetto actually being there or being to the degree in which we see ghettos now will probably be nil or slim to none at least. And in that case, then we take a page out of um Cat's book where we start finding you and things of that nature because we're maintaining a level of decorum around here. Like there's a base level, you can't fall underneath it because it just will not be tolerated. Now, after I just sniped out everybody who's trying to come up against me, they probably going to listen to what I say and clean up their yard.
Dang.
All right. Uh, as y'all know, when someone's in charge, whether they be queen, president, governor, whoever, they have they have advisors. They have people who they go to get, advice, and they get input from these other people who aren't, in charge. They're not the man, but they're like the man behind the man. So who's advising you? If you're president queen of Blackville, who's advising you? Are men advising you? Are women advising you? Are your husband's advice? Who's advising you?
Well, I think it depends.
Oh.
I started to. So I think it depends on what the subject is, because men and women have different strengths, and therefore they will have different interests, they'll have different areas where they would be best suited to give advice. So me being a woman who I think, I have a slightly less feminine mindset. So as a result, between that, I would probably need men in a capacity to kind of help stir the more male side of my mindset and my ability to think of things. And, I would use the feminine side to kind of, I guess, add that sort of feminine twist that I think is a good balance. And with women, I would need them to give me more of that feminine perspective and that the feminine side of what we're better at. So women are really good, for example, problem solvers. So as a result, when it's a matter of just solving a problem, something that isn't about tactical solutions, for example, I might want to consult a woman. When it's a more tactical solution, I might want to consult a man. So, and I think that, their roles in my government would reflect that based on their inherent strengths. And I think that's why, again, I said I wouldn't say all women in my government or all men in my government. I would pick the people who are literally the very best suited for that position. So, someone who is really well versed in medicine, and had a lot of not just in actually practicing, but also in all the politics, whatever behind it, they would be my secretary of medicine, or someone really well versed in school would do that, so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I would select.
Yep.
If I'm gonna have a military trained society, then I would prefer male advisors. Just saying.
For everything?
For most things.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what I would need a female advisor for.
Okay. Lady Ming.
One thing I learned when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad many moons ago was that you have to build your team. You can't be everything. You have to stay in your lane, and then you build you get people in the other lanes that you need. So for the type of society that I'm looking to build, I would have an advisor, in policy, or an advisor in medicine and the sciences, in agriculture and things of that. But my main advisor would be my husband, because he and I are the flip side of the same coin. We are on the same page, but we approach things a little bit differently, and we are natural strategists together and separately. Outside of him, it would also be my mother, to be quite honest with you, because she's one tough woman. You guys have heard what she's been through that got us to this point. And she's a very practical, realist person, which is kind of where I get it from. Thick-skinned, no nonsense, all about the facts, almost masculine in her thought process about things, as opposed to, very feminine and catty ways. She doesn't have those ways. So I would probably defer to those two on a day-to-day basis, but depending on what it is that we're trying to accomplish, the goal, I would seek out the best suited person for that role, and it doesn't matter to me the gender.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go to the next round of questioning. Now, given Blackville, as we've talked about it for the past hour or so, now I want you ladies to explain to me, what do you think Blackville would be like if a man controlled it? If a man is the president of Blackville, how do you think Blackville would be if he was in control of all of it? He was in control of Blackville's government, Blackville's military, Blackville's police, Blackville's economy. How do you think it would be if a black man is running Blackville? Well, I want to go first, Ken.
Huh. I think it would be interesting to see. You got a lot of guys in the black manosphere who talk about all the different strategies that they would probably implement. So I think it would be pretty successful too, because they're very decisive in what they want to do, and then a lot of them talk about economics, which is a very big part in how you run a city. So yeah, I think it would be successful.
Well, I think realistically that it depends on the man, just like I do believe it depends on the woman, obviously. So if a man, the thing is, so I was doing some research on this, of course, even though you're like, oh, if you prepared, that didn't help you. But um, and what I found ultimately, and anything that was serious that was talking about if women ruled the world, ultimately said that critical mass is reached when you have 70% of men and 30% of women as a balance of the power. Um, so with that being said, if there is a man in power, but he could recognize that there needs to be approximately a 30% influence in his government, then I think if he was the type of man that recognized that, he's also the type of man who wouldn't allow ego and a too quick decisiveness without, thinking through other options and so on and so forth to get in the way and kind of mess things up. So, with that being said, obviously men are natural born leaders, and I think they would not require some of the added things that myself as a female would need in order to, again, depending on the man, in order to establish that role of leadership and dominance and confidence, et cetera, in his people.
Okay.
I think that history would just repeat itself. It'd be more of the same. No disrespect intended. And that's not no judgment placed on that statement. To me, it's just Facts. I mean, a good indicator of future behavior is relevant past behavior. So, considering that men have already been in power as it stands and if you look at it as a society and making the rules and the laws and things of that nature, I don't see what would be different in what we're already dealing with or some variation of it that we see around the world. That's just
Okay.
like to me the short answer of it.
Okay. So let me throw some other hypotheticals at y'all. In Blackville, that's ran by this man. And this man, say say the man who runs Blackville is somewhat of a monarch. And he makes a law that says women must do this, women must do that. If not, they shipped off to Nigger Island. And he puts out a decree and he says women women must be with whatever man he says, not the one you like, not the one you want, the ones he say. Do you stay in Blackville or do you walk on to the boat and get shipped off to Nigger Island?
Considering Nigger Island at this point is filled with a bunch of baby mamas and babies and mishaps in society, I don't think I want to go there. If you look historically at societies or cultures that do those prearranged marriages, you will find a lot of success actually in that, because once you get into a marriage, it's less about what looks good or even sometimes what feels good. It's about what is good and what needs to be better. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, what I would have to question is, are we under a mad king, on some Henry VIII type, madness like that? Or are we under somebody who's practical and knowledgeable and have all these other, traits that would be conducive to trying to sit up there and call himself a matchmaker?
Mm.
If so, I wouldn't necessarily buck the system, but I will tell you this. If I got into a marriage that I was not comfortable with or didn't like, say I was being beaten or raped or any of those other things, the horror stories you hear on the flip side of that arranged marriage coin, then I'm out of there. And I'm not going to Nick Island. You can believe that shit.
Oh Lord.
I like Lady Meg. She's
Mhm.
tough. She's
Okay.
tough.
This is real talk.
Next up.
I will say that I wouldn't mind an arranged marriage. It would cut down on a lot of the stress that comes with, you know, modern day dating and all that. So I wouldn't mind that. And, it would probably bring more order to the society just to marry who everybody else, who other people have considered, thought about what would be more beneficial to the society if this woman and this man got together, right? So I would I wouldn't mind that. But I do have a question for me. How are you gonna escape from getting thrown into Nigger Island?
Probably create so I would probably stage a coup or something, guns blazing, whatever I need to do, because I'm sure I wouldn't be the only woman that was not happy. So I would probably create some type of underground network where we all got together and decided what our next course of action is. But I'm just not gonna allow you to just simply judge my fate. Not 100%. No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Classy.
well, I think for me, it comes down to what society are we currently living in. Like, if you had the society, say, I created, but a man had created that, and then he wanted to impose arranged marriages, it would be, if I were to do something similar, it would be under the guise of, again, as Kat said, what's best for our society currently, the way that things are, what will be most productive for our society and for the individuals. There wouldn't be abusive, beating, raping type husbands around. And there wouldn't be ratchet, hoish, whatever people around. So ultimately, at the end of the day, would I, in a society like that, say, okay, well, this is what we do. We do the arranged marriage. Okay, I trust my leader to choose wisely for me. Absolutely. If it was in a society similar to the one we have now, where it would be corrupt and, well, his best friend gets me, even though his best friend's a complete pig, like, no, then I would just go to the white city or town or whatever that's outside of Blackville and just go live with the white people then, I guess.
Well, being that the man is running Blackville now, so he's making the rules. But one rule he has is that women, as opposed to a man having many wives, he says that women can have many husbands. Are you one of the women with multiple husbands?
No.
No.
Yeah, not at all. No.
No. No.
No. You know what? I was watching a
Don't want the
documentary.
male harem, huh?
No, I was watching a documentary on an actual town in Africa that for real has a full matriarchy, full women-only town, etc. And one of the husbands in one of the matriarchal but men are allowed towns said he never had chosen to have more than one wife. He only had one wife, and the reason why is because he figured if he had with one wife, he only has one problem. With four wives, he has four problems. So I kind of see it similarly, like four husbands, three husbands. I have now three problems. Three men's, needs I need to fulfill. Three men I need to cook for, and three men I have to clean up after, and three men whatever. Like that's too many. Like one is more than enough.
Okay.
I have a question for the ladies.
Go ahead.
If
Go
you
ahead,
don't
brother.
mind, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
So, so I know it's you're asking the ladies questions. And I'm trying my best not to interrupt because I can dominate sometimes. But the question I have to ask, if nobody's asked it already, if you ladies are in charge of Blackville, individually, what are you gonna do to stop the niggas from Nigga Island coming back and infiltrating Blackville? Because you do understand, whenever you have black folks doing well and having a good time and prospering, the niggas are coming. So especially if you kick them out. So what would you do in order to stop them from inserting themselves into Blackville?
Well, I put my trust in Brother X because it's his nigger island. So I'm assuming he's got some malicious style tactics, like I don't know, sharks, piranhas, whatever in that water. If he needs extra piranha or something, so in case they try to get in the water, they can, I'm your girl right there. Whatever he needs to help support his militia or whatever the hell's keeping them on the island, I'll be right there helping him out.
100%. I mean, because that's the only recourse we have. The only recourse we have is to, hope that they haven't overthrown but Brother X and made their ways onto our shores. And then once they do, we got to have our army or, in my case, I said the Black and stay right there ready to go to war. So, I mean, that's the only recourse we really have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm running Nigga Island. If I'm running Nigga Island, there'll be no escape. Yeah,
see, there you go.
There you go. There's no escape.
I don't
Well,
know.
on the off chance that
I don't know. Niggas are crafty.
They are crafty.
If they do overthrow him, I guess I'll just go the George Carlin route, capture him, and have him fight till the death. Hop him up on drugs and have him fight to the death. Put it on pay-per-view. Yeah.
Put it on pay-per-view.
I listen I listen to you ladies' answers, and as always, you ladies always give me good answers. But this is what I believe. If unlike you were running Blackville, this is what I believe would happen. I believe that mostly everybody, and this is if a woman unlike you unicorns was running it, if she was president queen, everybody would be on the damn system, for starters. Women would be able to have as many men as they wanted, and it would just be normal. I also believe that crime would be out of damn control. And I also believe that the place would be broke in about 5 years. I don't believe if you was to put a particular type of woman in charge of Blackville, I believe that she would rule it kind of like she wouldn't rule it like a government. She wouldn't rule it like a town. She wouldn't rule it like a kingdom. She would rule it kind of like the way she rules her house. What she says, go. Do as I say, not as I do. It would be that kind of thing. She would be corrupt as hell, but she would have your head for the slightest of corruptness that you showed. She would just have your head. She would enrich herself. The rest of Blackville would probably be broke. She would play favorites. Certain people would be shipped off to Nigger Island for little shit, and people that she had affinity for could do big grandiose shit and hurt people, and they would never see Nigger Island. That's just what I believe. I believe that if we were to put someone up there, if we were to put someone in charge of Blackville that didn't have the wherewithal or the understanding of things that you ladies appear to have, they ruin Blackville. The cancer of Blackville would spread outward. It would be, Blackville would be Nigger Island. Yeah, Blackville and Nigger Island would be twins.
Actually,
twin cities.
You know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say they would end up swapping.
Yep.
Because what would happen if it was a woman ruling that was a ratchet woman, what would end up happening is a lot of the men who are leaders and intelligent and trying to put input into what should be done would get shipped off to Nigger Island. So what would end up happening is you would have a large percentage of the men and women like these unicorns being shipped to Nigger Island. And what would end up happening is Blackville would be the de facto Nigger Island, and Nigger Island would eventually become Blackville. That's what I believe.
That's a good point.
Yep.
You know what? I'd be okay with that as long as who I'm surrounded with isn't them. So if they want to take Blackville and send us all to an island, then we'll make it beautiful. Just like when with Jamaica, they dropped off all the unruly slaves onto Jamaica and we made it a beautiful place. Then you know what? All of us, we're all going to be shipped to that island. We will make that the tropical dream of paradise. So it's all right as long as I'm grouped with people, like-minded people.
And I hate to tell you, Classic Ruby and Ming Nicole, but depending on what woman is in charge, if it's a chocolate sister, you ain't even have to worry about Blackville or Nigger Island because they're gonna send our ass to Light Skin Village.
Right up out of there.
True that.
Yes.
Like, get all these yellow niggas out of my kingdom. Now.
Get these light skinned folks out of here. You're out of here. That would be a crime. To be light skinned, it would be illegal.
Damn near as it is right now.
That should be
Yeah.
illegal.
Mhm. Oh my.
We coming down to the last 20 minutes of the show. So I'm just gonna do like I always do, just shoot y'all some quick questions that just come off the top of my head that I haven't really written down or nothing like that. So we're gonna go back to y'all ruling Blackville. Y'all back in charge of Blackville again.
Woohoo.
All right. So Blackville has money. All right. Y'all say Blackville is prosperous. Y'all say, there's no ghettos. There's very little crime. All the niggas have been shipped off to Nigga Island. So it's peaceful. It's harmonious. It's relaxing. It's a beautiful place. Do you allow other people not come in and live like, say, white folks, Asian folks, Hispanic folks from other countries? Do you allow people to come in as tourists in Blackville? Do you allow people from the outside to come in and just see it? Or is it isolated from everything and everyone?
I vote for isolation because I already feel like we live in a museum right now. If another damn person does not to touch my damn locks, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, I'm already feel like they already viewing or on the outside looking into what we're doing, and taking it and doing what they want to do with it. So I want to live more in an isolated situation personally.
Okay.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. I don't see, again, like I said, maybe hundreds of years from now, we might want to gradually change some things. But I think when it comes to fixing ourselves and establishing ourselves and making ourselves grow and strong and be a nation of prosperous people, what we don't need is for anyone else coming in and again, yeah, looking at us like we're a museum, teaching us again that something about us is strange and worth staring at, because that's the last thing we need, and it's something, especially for our women, that is not helpful. And as a result, since it's detrimental to our women, it is definitely detrimental to our men, because anything detrimental to us, we are going to have trickle down into the way we treat our children and our men. So yeah, no, isolation for at least 100 or 200 years.
Okay, Lady Cats.
Well, at first I was gonna say how much revenue we would get. I was gonna ask how much revenue we would get from tourism, because I already live in a tourist city, so I'd be thinking about that. But considering that they do kind of look at us under a microscope and do treat us like we're weird and stuff, I, I probably wouldn't let it be a tourist destination.
Okay. Okay, let me ask you ladies this. How long do you rule? And is Blackville a democracy? Or do you just rule it for the rest of your life and pass Blackville on to your daughter and granddaughter? Are you into the democracy part of it, or are you just ruling it absolutely till you're dead?
Well, to me, I think that, again, in the establishing years, it's important to have stability. And so I would think of ruling more like the Queen of England per se versus hands-on like president. So I would have my government, and my government, that would be the people who are the democratic process would ultimately be affecting, as far as our people making decisions or complaints about what's going wrong and what's not. It wouldn't be this thing where every 4 years there's some type of turnover. because if people are doing their job and doing it efficiently, I don't see any need to just take them off. So, and at the end of the day, the democracy wouldn't be about, the individual, well, I would rather things be easy, because that's a lot of what the complaints are. I'd rather things be easier for me, make things easier for me. No, we have a mission statement for Blackville. That's what the ultimate good and the ultimate goal is. So if there's an issue, it's with them not doing their job efficiently. So that way we are prospering and we are able to grow. So that would be where the democratic process would be kicking in. It wouldn't be the way that it is now. And as far as me being queen, yeah, there would be, I guess, the royal bloodline or whatever, but that's not an absolute thing. So if my daughter or son are not equipped to and don't have that mindset, maybe they're lazy, maybe they're, the way that they would rather have things again would be going backwards and not forwards, then they don't get to sit in the throne. So then we would need to be looking outside of my bloodline to somewhere else. So it wouldn't be the way that it is now, again, where it's like all inside stuff. It would be, again, the vision, the future, who has my vision but is in a 20-year-old body. That would be the person who's getting that seat. I would hope it's my kids, obviously, and it wouldn't have to just be a woman. It could also be a man. But if it's not my children, cousins, nieces, whatever, then it would be, again, just the vision and the ultimate goal and the ultimate mission statement of our people in Blackville that supersedes all other things.
Okay. Next up.
It would definitely be like a Ming's dynasty where things are passed, where I'm on the seat until I choose not to be. I think that I will reserve the right personally to elect who the next person will be based off of my vision and what I'm trying to accomplish and what I would hope the legacy I would want to leave and hope that it gets executed. It would definitely be democratic as it pertains to everybody else. The popular vote would be used to elect the people, but it wouldn't be bound by terms. Because right now I feel like we're in a trick bag because they have to be in office for this amount of time or that amount of time. I don't want that. I want us to be able, as the elected officials be able to hold and have a quorum and be able to vote or bring them up for vote to the rest of the people. So that's pretty much how it would be. It would definitely be democratic, but I would reserve the right for who would be the ultimate head of it to myself. And like Ruby said, it wouldn't necessarily have to be my kid or somebody in my family if I don't deem them worthy, but it would definitely be my choice. I wouldn't leave that to the people.
Okay. Lady Katz.
I would want to rule until I could no longer rule anymore and name a successor.
Die on the throne.
Yeah.
Well, being that you are the ruler of Blackville, do you think that Blackville, with you ruling, are Black people doing better under your rule than they're doing right now, and why?
I think they would be better under my rule because my goal would be to create a community that's self-sufficient, where there's no room for excuses. Ruby touched on mental health and things like that. That's something else that I would also institute, almost out the womb. We have issues that are genetically encoded in our DNA. When you had Brandon Jones on, Universal Jones on the other day, he spoke very well to that. And I think that we need to address, those issues immediately, not wait until it surfaces, but address it immediately. So I think that under my in my society, we would definitely prosper because, again, like I mentioned before, I'm not about giving you the fish. I want to teach you how to fish. I want us to create a sustainable community that transcends time, after we're dead and gone is continuing to go forward. So I think that right now we live in a society that's built upon excuses and handouts as opposed to accountability and really like character building. Because with the hard work and with the education and with the therapy, your real character starts to emerge, and from there you can be built up. And as I mentioned before, since I do believe that we need to reposition our Black men where they rightfully were birthed to be, I think when you couple all those things together, plus me sitting at the top, we have no choice but to move forward and prosper further than where we are right now. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that point. And for on a large level, for them to see, their ultimate ruler, their ultimate boss, i.e., me being quote unquote submissive, which isn't really submissive at all in my mind. It's just the way you're supposed to be with your husband. For them to see me acting the way a woman should, even while making decisions, and to see the respect and to see the love, adoration, all those things that they were always looking for in their lives, to see it happen in real time, that is going to give the women an actual positive role model in the real world for them to say, oh, wait a minute. So I don't have to try to be a man to get power, to get respect, to get any of those things. Oh, fantastic. Oh, look, if I'm like everyone else and I just work my way up from the ground up, oh, if I'm like everyone else and I go work through my issues and go get my free psychological counseling, if I'm like everyone else and I can do this. And so likewise, you will then have a thing where the men don't feel like they have to fight to not be emasculated. They don't have to fight to prove that they're men. They don't have to fight to enjoy dysfunctional things and glorify dysfunctional things in order to feel like they have male role models and family and a village. Because again, I think women really need that as well from an emotional perspective. But I think from all aspects, men need that village. Men need those role models. They need that thing to belong to, and they need something to be strong along with. So I think in my village, the way that it has been structured, again, from the ground up, with before you do anything psychological, that's where you're going. If you need to stay there for 3 years to work through your issues, that's where you're staying. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Getting rid of all the, just like stand and deliver, day one, you gather up all the criminals and then you send them out. I don't have time for you. I'm trying to fix the ones who need help and want to be here. So I think from that perspective, which I think if we could just do today, is round up all the lost causes and throw them out of the community, you would already have a more successful place. So I absolutely think that we would be prosperous.
Okay, next up.
I think we would be doing better because, my main goal is for us to get more discipline and to not have to rely on others so much. So, we'll be able to defend ourselves and handle our money better and stuff like that. So, I think Blackville would do better with me ruling.
All right, we coming into the last 5 minutes or so of the show, and first and foremost, I want to thank the unicorns for showing up tonight. They always give me good input, and they always give me good answers. But that's why they're here. Next week we'll be back, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, y'all. So make sure you stop by and check us out. Ladies, next week, I don't know what the topic is going to be. We might do a little freestyle next week. I'm not sure. But I'm going to have something for y'all. So I want to thank y'all again, Lady Cats, Lady Classic, Lady Ming. Y'all always put up a good show. You know, I'm always impressed with y'all answers, with y'all intelligence, and with y'all intellectualism. I also want to thank my boy, Brother Valdez, for coming through. Always appreciate that.
No doubt.
I want to thank everybody in the chat, my mods. You know, I always appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, whether you looking at it live or looking at it on the playback. Make sure you share these videos. Also, make sure you drop by the old Proper the Thought Series Facebook main page. That's Proper the Thought Series at Facebook. And also stop by the TPOT bandwagon page as well. For Proper the Thought Series group fan page as well. And you can catch us on Instagram and WhatsApp. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming through and stopping by, watching us. I want to thank my subscribers. And once again, I want to thank my donors because I've been getting some donations, you know, quite a few. So I want to say thank you to that. I say all the time, y'all know who y'all are because I always write y'all and give y'all a personal thank you. So I want to say thank you for that. And once again, I want to thank the unicorns for coming through. And you can catch them right here because it's only one place. Corns, and that's right here on the old TPOT Media YouTube page. And with that, I will leave y'all with 3 words like I always do. Open your minds. And we out of here, y'all. Peace.
The Prophet Thought Series.
Peace, folks. Only from T.L.O.T. Open your minds.